There's a kind of tired that doesn't look dramatic. It's not the tired that comes after a long hike, or moving furniture, or a day in the sun. It's the tired that sits behind your eyes while your life still looks fine. You pay the bills, you show up, you answer the texts, you do what needs to be done, and still, somewhere underneath it all, there's this quiet heaviness. Maybe it's the feeling of starting things and not finishing, a health plan that lasted 2 weeks, a morning routine that disappeared the moment life got busy, a promise you made to yourself, I'll get to it, that somehow keeps getting pushed to the next Monday. And then you see someone else who seems naturally gifted. They move faster, they speak better, they look more confident, and something in you tightens like, maybe I just don't have what they have. If any of that feels familiar, tonight's story is for that place in you. Not the part that wants hype, not the part that wants a perfect version of life. This is for the part that's simply trying to keep going and wants to do it without breaking. In Buddhism, there's a gentle honesty about suffering, about the ways life feels heavy, even when we're doing our best. Not to make life sound grim, but to stop pretending we're the only ones who struggle. And when we stop pretending, something begins to soften. So let's begin with a mountain. Once in a peaceful Chinese village, there was a mountain called Heaven Peak. The villagers had a dream to build a temple at the very top, where their prayers could rise, where the sky felt closer. But the climb was steep, the path was dangerous. Loose rock, sharp turns, narrow edges. So the village elders made an announcement. Whoever can build a staircase to the top will honor themselves and the whole village. And suddenly the village buzzed like a beehive. Everyone talked about it. Everyone imagined the day it would be finished. And then a young man stepped forward. His name was Wei. He was strong, the kind of strong that turns heads, the kind of strong that makes people feel safe. He spoke with a booming confidence. I will reach the top faster than anybody, he said, and the villagers clapped. Of course they did, because in a world like ours, strength is easy to admire. Speed is easy to worship. And then someone else stepped forward, an old widow named Lynn. Her back was bent, her hands trembled with age. The crowd laughed. Grandmother Lynn, they said, you can barely lift water from the well. You're going up the mountain? You're building stairs? And Lynn simply smiled, and she said one sentence, I will carry 1 stone a day. The work began. Wei climbed with massive stones. He moved fast, moved strong. Every day he set heavy stones in place and shouted proudly, and the village cheered him on. And Grandmother Lynn carried a small stone in her cloth. Step by step, slowly, she walked the path. She laid it down, and she came back down. At first, Wei's staircase rose quickly. Lynn's progress seemed invisible, but weeks passed. Wei grew tired. Some mornings he slept in. Other days he said, I'll do twice as much tomorrow. And soon his stones sat abandoned at the foot of the hill. And Lynn never stopped. In the summer heat, in the autumn winds, in the snow of winter, in the rain of spring, every single day, her legs shook, and still she said, only 1 more stone, just 1, today. Days became months, months became years. And then one morning, a bell rang at the top of the Heaven Peak. The villagers came out, looked up, and gasped. There was now a staircase all the way to the temple, and it was Lynn's work. The woman they doubted, the woman they laughed at. They bowed before her. Grandmother Lynn, they said, you are not the strongest, you are not the fastest, but your consistent steps made a highway to heaven. And Wei stood in the crowd, silent, and he realized, talent without constancy is like thunder without rain, noisy, but it can't feed the earth. After that day, the staircase was called the Path of Patience, and travelers came, long-distance travelers, just to walk it, because they were moved by the tale of an old woman who made a highway to heaven with 1 stone a day. And when I hear that story, I don't just think about success. I think about healing. I think about the quiet ways people rebuild their lives. Here's what's interesting. Most of us don't live as Wei all the time, and we don't live as Lynn all the time. We move between them. There are seasons when we're Wei, fired up, confident, ready to turn it all around. And then life happens. We get tired, we get discouraged, we miss a day, and then we miss a week. And then we feel embarrassed to start again. And there are seasons when we're Lynn, quietly doing what we can. Not glamorous, not fast, just steady. Buddhism has a word that's often translated as effort, but it's not the harsh kind. It's not the effort of clenched teeth. It's more like right effort. Effort that's balanced, a gentle persistence. Not punishing yourself, not proving yourself, just walking. One stone, and maybe that's the part that hits hardest. Grandmother Lynn isn't impressive at first. She's not inspiring in a flashy way. She doesn't go viral. She's almost forgettable. And yet, over time, she becomes the one who changes everything. Which brings up an honest question. In your own life, where are you trying to be impressive, when what you really need is to be consistent? Let's bring this into real American life. Not the social media version of America, the lived-in version, the version where people have carried heavy years and still tried to keep going. The Great Depression, survival wasn't a burst, it was a rhythm. During the Great Depression, millions of Americans faced unemployment, hunger, uncertainty. And what kept many families going wasn't one grand solution. It was rhythm. A mother stretching a pot of soup, a father taking any work he could, then taking another. A family repairing clothes instead of buying new ones. Neighbors sharing what little they had. No one called it consistency. They called it getting through the day. One stone. And if you've ever lived through a season where you couldn't fix everything, where you could only do the next small thing, you understand that kind of courage. World War II, home front, victory gardens, and ration books. Then later, during World War II, people on the home front lived with ration books, shortages, worry. And across the country, ordinary people planted victory gardens. Not because gardening was glamorous, but because it was a steady way to help feed a household and a nation. Again, no single garden won anything. But millions of small efforts, repeated day after day, changed what was possible. One stone. Civil rights era. The discipline of showing up, and in the civil rights era, there were sit-ins and marches, moments we remember. But behind those moments was something quieter. Training, practice, restraint, discipline. People practiced how to remain calm when insulted, how to protect each other, how to return the next day even after fear. That kind of steadiness is not weakness. It's Lin energy. Not fast, not loud, but unbreakable. And the point here isn't history class, it's this. Human beings have always faced mountains. And again, the ones who made it through weren't always the ones with the biggest force. They were often the ones who could keep placing one stone. 24 to 31:30. One day at a time, recovery as the path of patience. There's a phrase many Americans know, even if they've never stepped into a recovery meeting, one day at a time. That idea became widely known through recovery communities like Alcoholics Anonymous, which began in the 1930s. And what's so striking is how close that is to Grandmother Lynn's vow. Not I will fix my entire life this month. Not I will become a new person overnight. Just today. One day at a time. One stone at a time. If you've ever tried to change something deep, an addiction, a relationship pattern, a habit of self-criticism, you already know why this matters. Because big promises can collapse under pressure, but small promises can survive real life. A small promise can survive a bad night of sleep. It can survive a stressful phone call. It can survive grief. A small promise can survive being human. And in Buddhism, this is where compassion comes in. Not sentimental compassion, but the compassion of seeing reality clearly. seeing that the mind gets tired, seeing that the heart breaks, seeing that motivation rises and falls like weather, and still, one stone. Let's talk about another very American story, the space program. People remember the big moments, a launch, a landing, a voice crackling through the radio, but what made it possible was repetition, testing, failure, adjustments, training, practice runs, the staircase behind the scenes. A lot of what looks like talent is actually the result of showing up to the same work again and again. And that matters because modern life often tricks us. We see the highlight. We don't see the repetitions. We see the temple on the top of the mountain. We don't see the woman carrying stones in the rain. And there's a quiet relief in that. Because if the path is built by repetition, then you don't need a perfect personality. You don't need to be naturally disciplined. You don't need to be fearless. You just need a stone small enough to carry, even on your worst day. In Buddhism, suffering doesn't only come from pain, it also comes from clinging. Clinging to an image of ourselves, clinging to speed, clinging to the idea that progress must feel exciting. Wei isn't a villain. He's human. He's the part of us that believes, if I'm not doing something big, it doesn't count. If I can't do it perfectly, I won't do it at all. If I skip a day, I've failed. And that mindset is exhausting because it turns life into a performance. Grandmother Lynn is the opposite. She doesn't argue with the mountain. She doesn't negotiate with the weather. She doesn't wait for the perfect mood. She just keeps her vow. And there's a Buddhist quality to that. Simplicity, not simplistic, simple, like the Buddha's own path in a way. Before awakening, Siddhartha tried extremes. He tried pushing the body to the edge. He tried forcing the mind. And what he discovered was a middle way, a path that could actually be walked, not once, but every day. Because a spiritual path isn't a motivational poster. It's something you live, one ordinary morning at a time. And this is where the story becomes personal. Because many of us are trying to climb Heaven Peak while carrying invisible burdens. Aging parents, a marriage that feels lonely, a career that once made sense but now feels hollow, a body that doesn't recover like it used to, a grief that changed the shape of your days. And when those burdens are real, the Wei strategy often fails. You can't brute force your way through heartbreak. You can't crush it your way into peace. Peace tends to arrive differently, quietly, slowly, through repetition, through a path you build under your own feet. So what could one stone look like in modern American life? Not as a command, just as a menu of possibilities. Maybe a stone is a short walk after dinner, not as a fitness plan, but as a way to come back to your body. A cup of tea in silence before the day grabs you. Writing one paragraph, just one, because the story in you deserves a place to land. A single honest text to someone you miss. 5 slow breaths before you respond to something that triggers you. Turning off the news for a little while, not to avoid reality, but to protect your nervous system. A small act of care, making your bed, watering one plant, washing one dish, done with presence. These things look small, and that's the point, because if the stone is small enough, it can be carried in winter, it can be carried in grief, it can be carried when your confidence is low. There's a reason the villagers laughed at Lynn. Small things don't impress crowds, but small things save lives. And if you've lived long enough, you've probably seen that. A relationship doesn't heal through one grand apology. It heals through steady respect. A body doesn't change through one heroic workout. It changes through consistency. A mind doesn't become peaceful through one perfect meditation. It becomes steadier through returning again and again, even when the meditation feels messy. One stone. Let's slow down for a moment. If you're listening while driving, keep your eyes on the road. If you're at home, maybe let your shoulders drop a little. And just consider this question. What is your mountain right now? Not the mountain you tell people about, the real one, the one that makes you feel tired before you even start. And then a second question, what is one stone small enough to carry today? Not a life overhaul, not a promise to become a new person, just one stone. Maybe it's a habit, maybe it's a boundary, maybe it's a moment of quiet, maybe it's asking for help. Maybe it's resting, real rest, without guilt. And if the mind says, that's too small to matter, you might remember Lynn and how her work looked like nothing right up until the day the bell rang. In Buddhism, there's a deep respect for small, repeated actions because they shape the heart, they shape the mind, and in time they shape a life, not into perfection, but into something lighter, something more honest, something that can hold both joy and pain without falling apart. So tonight as we end, I want to return to the image that stays with me. An old woman, bent back, trembling hands, climbing the same dangerous path. Not once, not for applause, but because she made a vow she could keep. One stone. And maybe that's the real power of consistency. It's not just productivity, it's dignity. It's the quiet decision to not abandon yourself, even when no one is clapping, even when progress can't be seen yet, even when you're tired. The villagers called it the path of patience. And maybe you have a path like that too. Not a highway to heaven, just a steady path back to your own life. So wherever you are tonight, whatever season you're in, may you carry your stone. And when tomorrow comes, may there be a stone small enough to carry again.